third episode of Fearlessly Unbroken. My name is Dr. Taylor Luster, and today I am bringing you my very best friend, Mr. Michael Ortiz, for a fantastic conversation. But before we get there, I wanted to take a moment and address some of the feedback I got from the last video, and some of it was amazing, absolutely amazing. Some of you guys were telling me about how you cried with it and cried with me, and you laughed with me, and you really related to some of the things, and that is beautiful and profound, and I am so glad, because that is the point. Others told me that they had a hard time with it, and it was mostly because they are hard topics, and I understand that. And not every episode is for every single person. It really truly isn't, and you might not know that until you listen to some of the episode and realize partially through that it's a little too much on this episode in particular, and that's okay, because sometimes there are things that you're not ready to deal with as you are listening to someone else's version of it, and you can't go there, you can't deal with that. Other things that they're hitting too close to home through things that you've recently experienced, or you've seen somebody else experience, and it was just too hard and you're not there yet, and that's okay. So you don't ever even have to be there. I'm not even pushing you to do that. But as you go through this, I do want you to realize that these testimonies on here it's supposed to be a safe place. And the reason for that is because these testimonies are important, and they help us heal, and they help us learn and understand and truly be better people, and in my own case, be a better doctor to share these things with you. And it's an incredibly vulnerable thing to do, and so all of these people who are sharing them, I truly appreciate it, because it is putting your dirty laundry out there to some extent, and that's kind of been a little bit of a taboo thing for a while. But it's putting it out there in this understanding and in this context of greater healing, and of saying, this is the shit show that I went through, and this is how I survived it. And for too long, we've been hiding these stories. We've been ashamed to tell the things that we've been through. And to me, that is so heartbreaking, because if I went through all of this and I had to go through all of this, then the very least that I should be able to get out of it is that I can share it with you so you don't have to go through that, at the very least. And if that means that I have to be vulnerable, if it means that I have to maybe not look like I'm perfect in every way, then it's what we have to do. If it's not easy coming on here and talking about suicide or abuse or self-abuse and cutting, or any of these things, or failing out of school, or witnessing a murder. None of these things are easy, and sure, I have some levels of shame that are in there where it's like, maybe I shouldn't talk about this, but that's all the more reason too. And I do firmly believe in doing the thing that scares you. Let's do it. So this scared me. This was like super being vulnerable, and it's out there, and I think that's beautiful, and I think it's powerful. So like I said, if it's not for you, if this episode is not for you, or if the next episode, or whichever episode, that's okay. Come back. The next one might be better for you. It might speak better to you. But that's what this podcast is for. It's these truly beautiful, profound stories, and it's the ugly of it. It's not just the fluff and how we got through it. It's real and it's raw, and that's the point. I want to share two quotes that one of them was given to me, and I thought it was awesome. And the other one has kept showing up in my own life, and I really thought it was just a beautiful quote to share. But the first one was, "If I must boast, I will boast in things that show my weaknesses." And I thought, that is so beautiful. Like, if I am going to talk about where I succeeded, it's going to be in conquering the things that tried to break me, you know? And that's just incredible. That's profound. You should talk about those things. It shouldn't just be the typical wins. You know, we should talk about the things that tried to break us and couldn't. The things that left scars and, you know, we still survived it. You know, scars are supposed to be this beautiful story that you can tell, that has all the nitty gritty, and hopefully it has an amazing story with it. And, you know, it's not just I fell off the chair or something like that. But, you know, that's the point. And then the second quote is that the cracks are how the light gets in. And I really love that because it kind of speaks to this idea of that we've been talking about, is we have got to change our narrative for a lot of these things. We are not broken. We do not have weak spots. We are not cracked and shattered and all of these things. That's how the light gets in. That's how we become better. You know, we learn to expand and to grow, and where things needed to improve and where things were the completely wrong fit. So as we go through this, please understand that that's where we're coming from with these things. I will, of course, always give a trigger warning for some of the content, because some of them can be, like this last one, a little explicit in terms of some of the topics that we cover. But it will always, these topics will always be covered in the context of healing, of I went through this, and not like this beautiful, like, oh, I delved in it and, you know, was, I don't know, not a super gritty context, I guess. But this is a very brief overview of what I went through, and this is the beautiful healing that came out of it. But how raw and truly rich that healing was is really the point. So I think that's enough of that babble. I hope you understand what I'm trying to convey here. This is not supposed to be, you know, super light and cheery and all of those things. It's supposed to be super profound and just super connecting. I want you to share your amazing stories. And of course, there's going to be laughs and all sorts of things, especially with Mr. Michael Ortiz, who's coming up next. But it's supposed to be real. It's supposed to be raw. So with that said, I'm going to cut to our conversation, and I cannot wait to bring it to you. He is so awesome. Like I said, to preface that a little bit, he is my best friend, and I believe we talk a little bit about how we got to know each other and whatnot. He was just in an accident, as you'll soon see here, a bicycle accident, and he had to get some facial surgery and his arm surgery. So if you're not watching on YouTube, then you know you're missing out on the beautiful brokenness, literally. But he just got fixed, and he's doing a lot of supplements, and he's actually healing really well. But anyways, he is amazing and just one of my favorite people. He's funny and he's complex, and he's just got a whole interesting view of life that I cannot wait to share with you. So with all of that said, here we go. Thanks, guys. Hello again, and welcome to Fearlessly Unbroken. This is our third episode, and I cannot wait to introduce you to my very best friend, Mr. Michael Ortiz. He's kind of sit in the dark with us, so you're going to have to bear with us. We will explain why. But in the meantime, this is Mr. Michael Ortiz. And I wanted to give a little preview, I guess, to talk a little bit about how I met Michael. He's been my best friend for, like 4 years now? I don't know. It's a while. Easily, it feels like forever. But Weirdly enough, I was going through, and I'm totally going to wave a nerd flag here, and I'm not even going to feel bad about it. I was going through a very hard time, and it was kind of mid, I guess, abusive relationship time, and or towards the end of it, and I'm sitting there by myself watching Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and crying at one of these scenes, and I was just like, I wonder if the Buffy community would relate to me on some of these things. So I don't know anyone in this group, and it's this huge, huge group of people. And I just posted like this sob story in this group about how like I was feeling about this episode, and it meant a lot to me, and I was just like, I'm going through this shit. I don't know. But here it is. And I met some absolutely amazing people off of it. And I was just really floored that anyone even responded. But I actually have, I think it's three people that I still talk to out of that group. But obviously, the most prominent is Mr. Michael Ortiz. Basically, I just feel like we started talking. I mean, he was just so kind to me about what I was going through, and it was just really impactful because I was in such a vulnerable place, and I just really needed somebody to talk to me, and I really think that he was a godsend for that because I just needed someone to talk to me. Um, Anyways, and so basically, ever since then, I talk to him every day, and I couldn't get through life without him as my best friend, and no pressure. And I guess with that said, I'll shut up and let you talk. Okay, bye.
All right, what are we talking about today?
Well, first of all, I guess you could say something about like how awesome our friendship is. I feel
It's an
like you should
awesome
do that.
friendship. I don't love Buffy anywhere near to the degree that Dr. Taylor Luster does,
He
but
does. He does.
I mean, I guess it's an okay show if you like that sort of thing. It's all right.
Lie. Don't be embarrassed of the nerd flag.
It's okay. There's worse things on television, you
Oh,
know.
you're lying. Well,
Uh,
um, I think it's probably most relevant, I guess, to tell us why you're sitting in the dark. That would make
oh,
sense.
so I just on June 16th, 2021, I had a bicycle accident that was pretty severe. I hit a pothole, I think, because I had a concussion. I don't actually recall what I hit, but it's resulted in two surgeries. I do think that's it for the surgeries. Like worst case, I'm gonna have to pull the wire out of my wrist. That's why my hand is over here immobilized. You can see some of the ace bandaging over here. So my cabin is a mess because I am now living 24/7 in the common area. It's because it's the biggest
Sure.
room. Uh, I can spread things out far enough. If I get cold at night, I can reach in three different directions for blankets. You know, if I get hot, I can push it back in three different directions. I don't have. Um, I would have the strength to pull from one direction, but if I was to run over this arm, it would be very painful. So
I'm
to avoid that, it's better to keep everything spread out, and I can kind of just pick and choose what I need when I need it.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Amanda, that's his wife, by the way.
Yes.
That I'm pretty sure she was appalled when she found out that we were recording this today because I know she was
Yeah,
just saying that like the house is so messy.
it's gonna be all right. It's okay. We were
uh,
supposed to do this before, but bike accident, concussion,
I suppose
all
that's
that
a
other
fair
stuff.
excuse.
So
All right, so I guess we are I kind of want to have a general theme for all of these videos, and the general theme is again this question of what does deep profound healing look like, and it can be really on any of the topics. um and of course you're going to have to give like some overview of I guess what you were going through during one of those whatever situation you decide to talk about, but I'm more interested I guess in what did you do to find healing for yourself with whatever the topic is. We briefly discussed a few. I'm gonna let you jump in with whatever one you feel like we should start with, and we can go from there and see where it takes us.
Okay, right on, right on. Um, hmm.
No pressure. It's
I'm
fine.
gonna say that as far as I'm concerned, the most important thing is for people to be comfortable in their own skin.
That's a huge thing.
Um, yeah, because I mean, your body, there's the circadian rhythm and whatnot. There's all these rhythms and there's these natural ups and downs. Um, but if you're in a good headspace, it nothing really seems terrible. So
So
on that
implying that
topic,
you weren't there at some point.
yeah, no, yeah. So on that topic, I had been in this terrible abusive relationship. I was married to not Amanda.
Not
To not Amanda.
Amanda. Amanda's awesome. Shout out to Amanda
Yeah.
who's not on here with us.
Um, and it was really rough. My ex-wife is 5'2", and at the time probably weighed about 105 pounds. I'm about 5'10", and at that point I was probably 195 pounds. I was a funeral director, so I was very big, very capable, and so I made all kinds of excuses. It doesn't really matter. I mean, it's almost like she was, like a child compared to me. Um, and when you're young and you don't know how the world works, things usually fall apart more than they wind themselves back up. Pardon me, an ad just popped up. There we go. Um, so I told myself, yeah, this is a temporary thing. We'll grow up, grow out of it, grow up, grow out of it, and that never ever happened. And there was a great combination of things that led to me waking up. There were people that my family respected. They'd come over and they would treat me nicely. And I'm like, these are good, respectable people. They're being nice to me. It was just weird. It's like I just noticed there was the juxtaposition that was created from the way I was treated by some people versus others. And one day I just decided that it would never, ever happen again. And it never did. And that's not meant to sound dark or ominous. She's still alive and she's remarried and everything, but it's incredible how, it sounds callous when people say it, that people that are abused allow the abuse. I don't know if that's true for everybody, because if you're a female, I can understand if the shoe was on the other foot and I'm 5'10" and big strong back from picking up dead people all day, that's very scary for someone that's 5'2" and 105 pounds. So I was never afraid for my life. I just allowed bad things to happen to me. But the day that I was like, you will never ever do this again, it stopped immediately. And I was like, this is incredible. Like this whole time, my entire years of my existence, I could have just been like, no, never again. And it would have stopped. That's crazy. I don't know if it works, if it would work the same for females. I'd imagine to some degree it has to, though. There might be other things that are needed to make it work correctly, a stronger support system or something of that nature. But the minute you decide, like, no, we're not doing this anymore, holy shit, it stops. So it's kind of miraculous.
I'm assuming that happened with some sort of like confrontation, not just like you willing it to happen.
No, it actually
No.
did. No. Okay, so I have a son. His name is Isaac, and he's 13 years old. When she got pregnant, I realized that she would do it in front of my child. If it was a girl, the girl would be taught that this is an acceptable way to be, this is a good way to treat men. And if it was a boy, he would be taught that this is how women should treat men. And I wasn't going to sleep on that. which made it even crazier because at that point I was divorcing a pregnant woman, which makes me a statistic.
Makes you
What
look
are
a
you
little
gonna?
bad.
Yeah, yeah, and I mean, I got a lot of kickback. It was such a bizarre time
I'm sure.
from my family and people coming out of the war. But see, honestly though, they didn't know what was going on, um, so I didn't care what they thought. And yeah, I still don't care too much about what they think. My mom tried to get me to go and talk to the pastor, Dr. Kolar, who is absolutely brilliant. And I mean, I agreed. I was like, yeah, sure. I like Dr. Kolar. I'll talk to him. And I think she was hoping he was going to do some like Jesus karate on me.
Jesus
But
karate.
yeah, but
What?
when I spoke to him, I first off, I didn't have a personal agenda while going to see him. It was pretty much, I'm going to go and tell this man what's going on and see what he thinks. And it's not that I'm going to blindly do what he says either, but yeah, do I respect this person? Yes, I do. Let's go and see what they have to say. And so I went there and he said, so what are we doing? I was like, I mean, don't you know? And he said, your mom told me a little bit. And I said, well, what do you think? And he said, well, what do you think? And I said, I pointed at his bookshelf. He's written so much, like, I didn't write any books. So really, I feel like we should be yielding to what you think. And then he sat down and told me if I think that Jesus thinks that people should go and get abused, that I am definitely wrong. That if I am going to leave, I need to be precise in my movements and not cut the monkey's tail off 1 inch at a time, cut the whole thing off. Um, it wasn't funny to me then, but thinking about it now, when I went back home and my mom's like, well, what did he say? She was really, man, she was excited. And he said, cut the monkey's entire tail off at once. Oh man,
I'm sure
she
that
was,
went over well.
she was pretty upset. Um, the relationship has been restored, like my family and everything. They all kind of know after I left again, and said no more, and I took off. We cut the entire monkey's tail off. Um, my ex-wife made the assumption that I was going to run around and tell everybody what she did. I had no need or desire. I was already out of the situation. What do I
Sure.
care, right? So she went thinking everybody already knew and tried to play some virtue card and was like, yeah. She
Oh.
went and told my mom that she was abusing her son. And my mom, because this woman was pregnant, just zipped her lip and walked
Oh.
out of the room. It's like, okay.
Oh God.
Yep. Actually, there was one person in my family um, that was on my side for the entire thing, and that was my stepdad. Um, his ex-wife was a terrible person also, and he said he could see it in my ex-wife. Everybody else was giving me flack, and one day he was driving me somewhere. I don't even remember where, and he just looks at me and says, "You did good," and I'm like, it was very bizarre because everybody else was, no, this is no, stop, please, no, Jesus doesn't want. It's like, listen, like not for nothing, but the stuff that I've been through. I'm not saying I wouldn't listen to Jesus. I'm saying that he has to come down here himself because I've been through enough. And you know what I mean? Like, I'm not going to sit there and walk right back into this mess and be like, all right, well, no. There were all kinds. People get desperate when their lives are going to change that fast and that hard. Um, and for whatever reason, I had clarity and knew, like, I know not to trust anything any of you people are saying because these are last resort phrases you're throwing out at me now. So yeah, being comfortable with yourself, I think, is probably the most important thing overall when it comes to healing. I believe that people are triune beings, so a healthier body would make a healthier mind. It's like a car, right? If I have a really good cooling system, well, maybe the engine can push a little harder now because it's going to cool off easier. So it's not that I improved the engine. The cooling system got a small improvement, and the car overall has benefited from this. So likewise, being able to be comfortable and having a positive, guarded mind um, can help in a multitude of ways, not just mentally, but physically and spiritually as well, because you're one being.
Whew, that was, you had some out of the park ones on this one. Some phrases that I was taking notes. See, like, took notes.
No. Is that a
uh,
nerd thing over there? You got nerd stuff?
I do. Anyways, so first of all, I love this idea of being comfortable with yourself because I think I was actually just talking to my chiropractic assistant about it today, Miss Patricia Dunn. Kind of the similar topic, so it feels like it's beautiful that it is today. And that was actually not one of the ones that we previously discussed. So,
Mm-hmm.
um, anyways, but I think that when I was talking to Miss Trish about it, I was talking about how we have all of these, and you and I have talked about this, I think, at length. Oftentimes, he's like my spirit guide because I get lost. But, anyways, I think that this idea of I think how you described it was these narratives that we started with ourselves, or these frames that we filters that we see ourselves through. Um, they can be just slightly off, and they're skewed from all, like, just the slightest lie that was told somewhere, or that we took just the wrong way, and all of a sudden you get down the road and it's this huge diversion from where you were supposed to be, and it was just the most minor thing that was just slightly askew. And I really love this idea of being comfortable with yourself because I think it's regressing that backwards a little bit to say, okay, where was this lie? I know many times you've told me this whole construct you have here is wrong. We have to rewrite the
Yeah.
whole thing.
Yeah. This
And
is a lie.
yes. And I'm like, wait, what do you mean it's a lie? Like, everything I know is built off of this. What are you talking about? So I feel like that is one of the most super foundational things. And I think being comfortable with yourself is truly an unlearning of all of the constructs that were put on us that we've taken to retarded
Definitely.
places.
Definitely. Um, Damn, see, the problem is that can go in two different directions, and my
Take your
brain is
pick.
trying to do both at once. No, I having trouble. It's a little bit of trouble focusing, but remember, I was concussed 2 weeks ago, so
Excuses. Excuses.
yeah. Well, let's go with the easier one for right now.
Okay.
The easiest way to find out if you are living, if you're building off of lies, is to take inventory. So there are a lot of people that will say one thing, but their actions betray them. Um, an overbearing parent, right, might go and micromanage a child, okay, and then the kid doesn't want to be near the parent. In the parent's head, it's like, oh well, no, I'm doing this because I love the child and I want the child to love me. That child is trying to get away from you now. Your actions are doing the opposite of what there is a lie somewhere that you're believing. Usually, in the case of the parent and child, the parent is afraid of something, and so they're operating out of fear. It's more, I'm afraid that somebody else will hurt you more than I love you, and I'm going to equip you as best I can to experience hopefully positive things. There will be some not so positive things. That's the way. There's an ebb and flow to life, and then if me and you have a strong, you'll come back to me, and we can go and work out because nothing's perfect, right? Um, so if you are looking, because in 2016, that's a great year, I was living all kinds of weird lives. Nothing very serious. It was based on politics. Essentially, I would go, man, I was taking in probably 6 hours of political news a day,
Ugh.
and then going on Facebook to brawl with everybody. And
You're a troll.
yeah, and the thing is that I thought about it, and it's like, well, who do you want to be? It's like, I mean, in the woods, I'm a man of peace. I'm done killing. That's it. It's over. And it's like, then why do you go to war every day? Well, this is important. Is it? Is it really important? Is there any good that's come from this? I mean, it's possible, But the best situation here, if you're supposed to be a person of peace, is you should disengage. It's like, okay. So I quit political nonsense cold turkey. That was weird. I reached out to some family. I reached out to my grandmother. I apologized to her. I let her know that I would have written you more, but when I woke up, I had to go and read articles and this and that. And it's like, why was I doing any of this? But I had convinced myself this is a lie. This was me betraying the person that I wanted to be. But I did it so willingly and ignorantly. It's like I'm investing all this energy into not peace. But I want to be a peaceful person. What the hell are you thinking? You've missed the plot, So that's it's a great way to.
So you mean taking inventory by asking other people,
No. You can
or you?
think about who you want to be.
Okay.
All right. I want to be this person. Now there are people that want to be warriors, right? And that's fine. There is. I don't think there's like a bad type of person. All right. We need all sorts of people, right? So, actually, let's take you, Taylor. You are a doctor. You want to be a doctor. Should you run around practicing war? No.
Well, according to you in video games, that's a whole nother story. They want me to kill zombies in video games.
Video games, zombies are not people. Those are post people. Also, in all fairness, no matter how hard you hit the video game, it never says out. It's like a punching bag.
I'm just not even gonna go there. Okay, so you're saying that it would be obviously misaligned with myself as a doctor to go out starting wars all of the time.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
hurting
No, I mean
people.
that's a broad stroke, but yeah. But yeah, if you decide, okay, well my big goal is to teach. Okay. Are you doing things in your daily life that make you more of this person you want to be or less of this person than you want to be? There's a 500 million goals. I know my goals, I think, better than anybody else's goals, but for me, it's being a peaceful person. So it's like, all right, well, we have to make sure that the different things in my life, because it never happens in a day, but every day I should get a little closer. All right. Again, the idea of an angle, 15 degrees is, that's almost a 90. Let's go with the 90, right? Right now, that 90-degree angle from thumb to my index finger, that looks like it might be 1, 2, 3, maybe 5.5 inches. Okay. But if I take that same 90-degree angle and I extend it out a mile, I'm not going to do the a squared, b squared equals c squared, but you dig what I'm saying. That's a much bigger gap. You don't notice it in the beginning. You can see from one end to the other. Oh, I can still see it. But when you go and you multiply it out, you have no idea what you're doing. The same thing works in the inverse. If I go and I just continually okay, I'm a little off focus. I'm going to go and move over just a hair. Okay. Maybe a hair is all I can move. Maybe I don't know how to move better, like more than that. That's a possibility too, because as you go on, you learn, right? I'm just going to move over this much, just going to correct as much as I know to correct. And that's better than me not doing that.
I think that with that, I love what you say when you tell me to take, I guess, saying the same thing, taking inventory of how I'm feeling. Like if I've had enough to eat, if I'm sleepy, if I'm tired, or I guess that's the same thing, or about like all of these things, and you have like a list that you go through. And
Halt. Yeah. Hungry,
yeah.
Angry, lonely, tired.
Yeah, and I think that is a great way to speak to what you're saying of taking inventory of yourself, and then in each of those situations to say, okay, if none of these are feeding where I'm trying to go, then I'm slightly off, and then taking, like you said, your 90-degree angle and just taking it just back a little bit. But it's really, I think at the bottom of those, it's really just the slightest bit that is off. And it's ridiculous how slight that thing is.
Well, sometimes, but now I recall the other thing I was going to say. There's another thing about personal truths and lies. I I don't know that this is 100% accurate, so I'm going to use the word like right now. It is like there is an evil thing that is intelligent that is attempting to control things. Okay, so I had a very difficult time in third grade, fourth grade, fifth grade. Sixth grade was a little better. Seventh grade was a little better, but again, like it was pretty miserable for me. Um, and I was systemically taught through my interactions with other children that feelings were not that important. All right, and I used a combination of taking inventory of my personal experiences and comparing it to things that I saw on TV, specifically Steve Urkel. It's like on TV, people, the audience says, "Oh," when he makes a mistake, but in real life, nobody gives a shit. Nobody cares at all. In fact, these animals over here. so so there I was, and I was convinced. It's like, all right, well, feelings then are not important. Like I can move with surgical precision through these different uh, uh sometimes they're problems, sometimes they're games, logic puzzles. You understand? Like I'm just moving through, and I have no problem. Um, so then, what are feelings for? It's like I don't. This is somewhat of a waste. Um, and this now, I mean, compare this, actively contrast this to the person I am today, where it's like, no, for me, peace is the most important thing. Well, I mean, obviously, there is an emotional component to this because what it really is, it's peace with myself and my actions. Um, as far as I can tell, something worked very hard to try to instill this lie in me, and I've seen it in other people. I've seen this happen with other people. I've seen this happen with Amanda. It was when you take inventory of Amanda's life, it looked like it was despair. Amanda was taught that, you just can't have what you want. If you want something, it's not going to happen. It was the most bizarre thing. We would go out like on a date, and she told me, she's like, listen, when I go to restaurants, if I want something, I just can't have it. And I was like, I don't want, what the hell do you mean you can't have it? And so we went to this diner, fantastic diner on this the Snydersville diner. They make these pies, and oh, it's so good. Um, I think she wanted a strawberry milkshake, and the lady's like, "Oh, I'm sorry, we're out of strawberry." Now, I mean, that's one instance, but this actually happened repeatedly. And so one day I was like, "No," I was like, "No, we're not playing this game." And she says, "What?" And I was like, "We're gonna find you a strawberry milkshake. Like we're gonna do it now." And she's like, "What are you talking about?" It's like, whatever this thing is that is trying to teach you that you can't have simple little things. It's not like she asked for something big. And it's not like she wanted it free either. We had American money we were going to give in exchange for, the goods. I was like, no, we're not. Nope. So what happened? We started acting in opposition to this thing that I don't know that it's like this thing exists. Again, I can't say that I can prove it exists. It is like it exists. So right now, if in your mind you're thinking like, I don't believe in, I need you to just take a deep breath, take a step back. Okay. I don't need anyone to believe in anything. I just need you to understand that it is like if this thing exists. There could be some other rule that is being followed, some other universal rule that I don't understand, but that's okay because I'm a person. Okay. But if my understanding of it, it's like it's this thing, gives me enough information to actively combat and work around this thing, then bloody hell, that's pretty good. So having said that, we worked in opposition to this thing constantly. It's like, I want to piss this off. She's like, what? I was like, yeah, let's go. And you should just want simple things. And we're going to go and we're going to get all these things until this thing pisses off. And it worked. Now they have what she wants at restaurants. It sounds childish, but maybe not. There could be things that you have grown accustomed to, like me, and thinking feelings were stupid, right? There could be things that you've grown accustomed to that you should not be accustomed to. And the only reason why you're accustomed to it is because there hasn't been someone there around to show you, like, if you fight this thing directly, do the opposite of what it wants to happen repeatedly. Okay. And it did crescendo. Again, I don't remember 100%. I've done this several times though, but yeah, like eventually it's like, oh no, not only can you not go get the ice cream, now your car won't start. Screw you, car. I'm stronger than you too.
Oh my
I don't
God.
need you. I don't need any of this. I don't need any of you. Watch this. I have a phone. Call somebody up. Hey, listen, I need you to do me a favor. I need you to get me, but before you get me, get me a strawberry milk. Just bring it. Just bring it. And that's it. It's like I got somebody now in a car delivering to me, and then next call. All right, well, I'm gonna need a tow.
Yeah.
Let's do this. So yeah, if you if there's a truth that you believe, but you can kind of tell is off, really examine that, because it might be that there is this thing that does not want you to act in a way you would act if you didn't have that block or that weight around you. Now, would I be the person I am today if I still carried that belief system? I mean, I'm still myself, but no, it wouldn't look like this. I'm a far more peaceful person now. It's bizarre.
I think that what I like about that is that, well, first of all, this idea that there are external influences that we need to take into account, and we don't always do that, or sometimes we do it too much. I'll go both those routes, but
Sure.
I guess firstly that yes, it can definitely, we can go the route that there is good and evil at play. That is a super fun route. But maybe that is, maybe in your life or whoever is listening's life, that looks more like there are layers of toxic relationships that you have in your life that make it unclear as to what the actual situation is. And so in like some of those situations, like with Amanda, it was much more clear as there were probably not like in poor intentions from her related to that, or misconstrued constructs or whatever in those situations. But that's a very, very clear example. And some of those are going to be, that you find in your life as you're trying to deconstruct some of this, are going to be much more complicated, I'm sure. So I think taking some of that and seeing it as this external, and maybe it's not an evil thing like a demon, maybe it's an evil thing like your ex or a bad parent or a bad relationship or whatever, and maybe seeing it in that perspective, that you could easily apply all of the things you just said.
The
And
big thing is multiplying things out. It's that, like, if you have been systematically taught any kind of lie, well, what kind of person, if you did not have that, would you be full tilt the other way? Would you be able to do good there? Is that what you would be doing?
right.
And that, I mean, I honestly believe that it's the person that I am today. I have other friends, obviously, that I talk to and whatnot. I look out for people, varying degrees, of course. And I think that when I undid this, what it did was it offered me a lot of compassion that I did not have access to, because again, it's like this is a useless thing here, this feeling, this emotion, this doesn't mean anything. I don't need this. Let's go ahead and we can cut the head off, we can cut the tail, we can cut all the, I see where all of this stuff is, and where someone else is like, well, the neck is really only this big. What if we just want the head? How much neck is there? It's like, kind of stupid, don't need it. It's a really weird example. It's actually based off of what is it, Loki's Compromise?
I legit have
Maybe.
no
Anyway, it
idea what
doesn't
you're talking
matter.
about. So
It
cool.
doesn't matter. But there were situations where people's feelings should have been taken into account, and they were not, because there was no. It's like there's no real world value to this. And after I realized, like, all right, no, I was taught incorrectly. These situations create, like, pretty much taught me this lie that feelings aren't important. Well, after that was corrected, now there's all this compassion in there. So it's like, okay, we're going to try to solve your problem doing as little damage as possible. You know what I mean? Which might make it take a lot longer to solve your problem, right? Because if we're gonna work very gently, then fine. Where before it was like, listen, like, this is gonna be really, really painful for 2 weeks, and then you're gonna walk it off. Some people cannot handle an extreme amount of pain for 2 weeks. You know, uh, I've done a lot of bizarre things that I'm told many other people would have a difficult time doing. Again, it might be that I was like, it's like, I don't feel good. Well, feelings are not that important. What's the end result? I've won, right? but being equipped now with compassion, it's like, all right, we're gonna work on solving this while doing as little damage as possible. In fact, except for extreme situations, my first priority now really is, let's try to do no damage. Let's see what we can do without doing any damage at all. Let's try to move again by degrees, right? And we're gonna go and correct your course by degrees. We don't have to do it all today. Okay, if we just do a little bit, it'll be okay. So, I mean, you've had a lot of poor experiences. Do you feel that they kind of point, or do some of the more serious ones point in like one direction?
Oh, we're doing this now. Yes, I think that they generally point in one direction.
Okay.
Of self-worth, which we've discussed like so many times.
Right.
Where the slight askew went, it's hard to narrow that down, but there were definitely a bunch of like little things that I distinctly remember that led up to just an overall, I think, in fact, I think a lot of my health issues and emotional issues and all of those things, they all kind of come back to that same place in my life. And I don't know exactly. I mean, I as an adult, I can see why baby Taylor thought that, and I can see why it's wrong, but it doesn't change that baby Taylor went through those things,
You see what maybe, if it was like there was something intelligent after you, can you see what it's trying to prevent? You dig what I'm saying? See, that's
Yeah,
where it gets.
yeah.
You see, that's where it gets weird. It's like that's the thing right there. It's like, well, who would you be if you did not ingest that lie?
Sure.
Because it's like there is a thing that doesn't want that specific thing to happen.
Yeah, and I think that that's actually a really powerful statement, because so many of us, and it's kind of where I was going to go with the next part of what I wanted to say with this idea of allowing the abuse, and also the idea of the other side of of believing that something is external, is this idea of victimhood almost. And those two things kind of can go hand in hand, but it's a very fine line, because we should preface that nobody deserves abuse, period. And that is not what I'm trying to say at all. But that there is an aspect of what you just said, basically, and in general, that yes, there are times where, and especially coming from a woman's perspective, you're literally terrified of leaving, and maybe it's because the guy's bigger or stronger or whatever else, but it's still you that's holding you there. Like, you can make the choice to leave. Like, he's not physically, not at all of the points, I guess, but not physically holding you down and saying you're not going anywhere at all points in time, So you theoretically have times to leave, and you are the one in control of that. Now, how much control you give to that person is really the mind game there, right? Where you continue to have like PTSD even when they're not there, you know? And where you do these behaviors even when they're not there because they trained you. So I think that some of that all kind of falls into this idea of like, A, who would you be if you hadn't gone through those things? And also the same idea of B, why did you go through those things, and why was it necessary? Like, who are you as a result of those things, or who are you supposed to be because of those things? And I know for me, I mean, I've been through some shit, but like, um, specifically when we're talking about allowing abuse, I think for me it was the catalyst that broke everything. Like, had you talked to me years before that, I am not that person. I would never have told you ever that I would be in an abusive relationship. You know, I am assertive, I am opinionated, you know, like all of these things. And I'm super smart, you know, like why would I be in these situations? And yet here I was, you know, and so there's these underlying, and I believe it has to do with this underlying self-worth skew that I had from very early on. And this is after many, many conversations of telling Michael that I didn't have this skew, but I do. But um, I just think that there is a layer of allowing that. And again, it's not something that you ever, I'm not sure you're ever consciously aware of until you are. And then it's like, well, crap, why did I let him do that to me? Or why did I allow them to affect me that way or to even come into my life? I knew that there were warning signs. I saw all of these things, you know, like, why? What set me up for that? And more so, how can I not have that going forward so I'm not a constant magnet for this? And that was definitely something you and I talked about at length because I attract them. So I guess you could respond now.
I don't know that I have a response for that.
What? I just
I just
babbled a
nod.
lot.
I nodded yes a lot while you did it.
I know. Um, but yeah, I do think that you're right about that. Allowing the abuse. It's
Even if you're a female, if I'm a female and the guy's a lot bigger than me, and I decide it's never happening again, if I've made a committed decision for that, cell phone's in my pocket. If he does it again, he's getting locked up. You know what I mean? So he got one more swing. By the time he gets back, I'm gone. You know, you have to sometimes be willing to give up everything to be free. And it's something I didn't talk a lot about from my own personal experience. But again, my family was not happy with the decision I was making. I was willing to walk away from everything and everyone just to be treated like a person. And it didn't matter to me that everybody thought I was bad and this and that. I mean, to be fair, people have thought that about me before. So, you know, go for it. Go for it. I'm the bad guy. It's okay. Um,
well, I think that's really significant too. Like that you have, and I guess you have people that are caught in between that mix of like not caring at all what people think and um, caring too much about what people think. And, you know, how do you, I know we talked about, and this is an interesting, I guess, conversation just for me and him in general, because I'm definitely more of the feeler in this dynamic, and he's more of the thinker. So he has to sometimes rein me in, and I have to sometimes, you know, push him to the feeling side, as he's already talked to you a little bit about. But I guess with that, how do you balance? I mean, and I guess you probably use the committee for that, but how do you
okay,
balance not caring? Like,
so so first off, that was before my awakening. You're going back
that's
14
true.
14 years. So this is a while before, and I didn't really have many good thoughts at all back then. I describe it as if I'm in a spinning room. Um, how do you get to the door if you're in a spinning room? You can't. You're dizzy. You're on the ground. When the room stops spinning, what happens? Okay, you're sick. You yak, and then you try to get your balance, your equilibrium, and then you can find the door. But while that room is still spinning, you're not doing anything that's productive. You got to make the room stop first. That being said, I was able to get the room to stop spinning by putting myself first. Okay, this is actually something that still carries over to now. Okay, when I'm thinking about something, I'm not going to go. They say in the airplane, you put your own oxygen mask on first. Okay, this is good form, because if I go and I overextend myself to help somebody else, now we have two people that are off balance, right? You can't go and overextend. It's like, I need to be able to get to you safely, okay? And if I go through that and I don't get to you in time, I am so sorry. Hopefully everything is going to be all right. We'll have to, reach you where you are, but I cannot compromise myself, because compromising myself, it just makes more trouble. Okay. Now there are obvious exceptions to this. Parents see their children, about to do something really dangerous, and without thinking, they will go and throw themselves in harm's way. This is a natural thing to do. Okay. So there's always an exception to every rule, but if I can manage, I'm trying to think, how do I need to be safe when I'm reaching out for this person. And you brought up the committee.
I love the committee.
We'll talk about the committee.
The committee.
Okay. So when I was very much not feeling, I don't even know how to really describe it. I'm pretty good at performing cost benefit analysis. So it's almost like there were parts of me fragmented in my mind, but they were responsible for different functions. And I was able to weigh out literally the extremes very quickly. All right, what's the worst case scenario? What's the best case scenario? Fantastic. Worst, best, worst. And then doing this, I would be able to very quickly create a fairly intelligent response to situations that might be extra bullshit. You get what I'm saying? I think that's what it is. It's like, all right, so there's some nonsense coming. We need to perform a cost-benefit analysis in under 2 minutes. Okay, because right now I just pulled the ripcord. Pretty much said, I got to go to the bathroom. I'll be right back. I will be right back. and then we'll be able to deal with this. I just have to take a leak. It's going to be fine. Yeah, and then you walk away. You don't need people freaking out while you're gone. Oh gosh, no, he has an idea. He has no idea. It's a lie.
True.
But yeah, I'm able to go and weigh. It's almost like a circle where the different extremes are, and then the extremes within the extremes. So, and it's how I do so many things. Even like my boss will go and say, well, I'm dating this guy and I think this and that, and what do you think? And my first response is like, oh, maybe some guy, I think he's cheating on me. Okay. If you discover 100% that he is cheating on you, what are you going to do? Oh, I don't know. If you discover that he's not cheating on you, what are you going to do? Well, I don't know. Well, just so you know, I performed a cost-benefit analysis, and it really doesn't matter whether he's cheating or not. No, I don't mean that to be mean, but think about it. It's like, all right, if we don't have, there's actually no good reason to go and invest mental energy in this. Now, if you tell me, well, if I find out that he's cheating, then frickin' that's it. He's gone, right? So you're committed then. That is both the best and the worst case scenario is just that he's gone. Yeah, okay, well then we should put in the amount of energy equivalent to he is gone, right? So to make it a little simpler, worst case scenario, you pay someone $10. Best case scenario, you pay someone $5. All right, so in this scenario, you should not invest $11 in investigating. You'd be better off just paying the $10 and walking away, because it's like, well, what does it matter? The variance is so small. Why would I invest any more energy in this? I can go and give this person the $10, and then instead of spending that time reasoning this, I can make $10 back or 20. I understand how bizarre this sounds. It is hyper rational. I apologize.
Yeah, because the normal response is like, it doesn't matter whether he cheats. Well, that's the good response.
No, but it doesn't though, because
I know,
because it only matters to the extent that you're willing to do something about it.
Right.
All right. Now she said, if he's cheating, we're gonna blow up his car. Okay, so if we're cheating equals $30,000 minimum worth of damage. Okay, we need to investigate very carefully. How carefully? $30,000 worth of careful. Okay, because if we go and miss something, and you blow up his car, you've done a very bad thing here. Okay. So yes, my mental the mental energy that I invest into things correlates directly with these cost benefit analysis performed by what I have termed the committee.
I think to clarify a little bit, because he didn't quite say it. What?
Said good luck to clarify.
I know, right? Well, I've had lots of these conversations with him. But the committee is like all of these versions of you from different times in your life. So, like I'll say mine is like, one is baby Taylor, one is emo Taylor, one is, the hyper, like the teacher Taylor, where, you get your shit together kind of Taylor, and there's a whole bunch of them. And you go in front of the committee as a neutral person and you say, here's a problem. Tell me what to do. You decide, and then they all kind of like talk it out. And it's just this really weird, it's something I've been practicing because of this man. Because sometimes this, especially in situations where I feel like my emotions are definitely coloring the possible solution, or I just can't think straight with it. So I try and use that to help clarify some things. And it's really been really interesting to let baby Taylor talk, or let teenage emo Taylor talk about how she feels about things. And that sounds super
surprised weird. You'd be surprised too how often it's the younger versions of yourself that have been carrying you for so long.
Mm-hmm.
So for a problem, right, where I actually do what you said, what would that be, 7 years old, all right, because it's actually directly correlates with the trauma of 3rd grade. That version of me always has an answer where I come out okay. The world might be on fire around me, but it's like, no, you're going to be okay. Listen, I'm going to carry you through this. But it's the smallest one, because that's the one that's trying to protect me the most from damage. Because at that age, I was very small and did a very poor job of defending myself.
Well, I think it's also the one that's most truly you.
I don't know about that.
Before you put in all of these other bullshit layers of constructs of the world.
I don't think so, because the thing is, that is the one that was taught. That's the one that says that feelings don't matter. It's like, no, listen, hell with everybody else. Let them all burn to the ground. You know what I mean? No, we know what's important to me right now. You are. I didn't freaking carry you all this time to have you spill here. Okay. So it's like, all right, fantastic. That's what he says. So now I actually have a plan that I can use where I get out untouched. That's a great place to start. Hell with everybody else. That's not a nice thing to say, but I do have a plan. Now it's like, all right, let's talk to somebody else that will take other things into account. But right now I do have automatically the plan from the 3rd grader. He's going to back me up no matter what. I've got backup now. Given enough time. And usually for crises can happen much slower. Like, you feel like it's going so fast, but that's because waiting is hard, and people don't like to go to sleep when things are going crazy around them. But that's another thing too. The 3rd grader, it's like, I have a plan. That means right now I'm going to go to sleep. There's nothing I can do about this right now. I'm going to go to sleep. I'm going to wake up tomorrow My mind's going to be fresh. We're going to try again. We're going to try to deconstruct, reconstruct. Okay. There's a saying for negotiating: never want something so bad that you wouldn't give it up for something better. Sometimes when I'm solving problems, it's like, well, let's pretend I don't want this thing. Let's pretend I hate this thing. And then it's like, all right, well, if I forfeit this, I can't have this better thing, this better outcome, and nobody is injured. This is great. The oldest version of myself is the one that understands harmonizing, harmonizing with movement, with motion. If someone, I mean, who knows who's watching, but in Aikido, which is a martial art, you're not taught to fight your opponent. You're taught to harmonize with their movement. So if someone was to go and throw a punch with you, now, I mean, I'm not saying to tell people to punch you and attempt to do this because you're going to get punched. But if you were to go and sidestep and spin a little bit and grab their arm and continue the motion, because when they go to throw that punch, they're actually putting themselves off balance. You can tell the way that they're standing. I can't show it because my one arm, but they've actually compromised themselves. Okay, so if you go ahead and your stance is nice and low and you just do a little spin, you can just go with their motion, harmonize with their movement, and now they've injured themselves essentially. Okay, so there are many situations in real life where things look really bad, but everything you need to harmonize with the situation is available. It's usually something very bizarre, unexpected, and sometimes it's that thing I said where, don't ever want something so bad you wouldn't give it up for something better. Sometimes you have to let go of something that you think you want a whole bunch, only to discover, like, well, if I let this go and I harmonize with this movement, I'm unscathed, and then I'm now opened up for this other opportunity or possibility. Or you just don't get punched, which is a plus.
Either way, yeah.
Yeah.
Winning
is winning.
I think that you're... so for my, I guess, committee, my youngest is definitely the most pure and untainted, and I think she's the most truly me. I'm not saying that... I think who I am now, I guess, has been colored a lot by the experiences that I've been through, but at the core, I feel like she is very much who I am truly. But
you say colored. What does see, because like I'm also, I mean, obviously I've been affected, but I feel like I've let go of a lot of that negative stuff. I don't know that I would use the word colored. I am the sum of these things that have happened, not the what would it be if it was subtraction, not the difference.
I guess, yes, I agree with that. I think colored, when I think of colored, I think of, I'm literally thinking of like lenses that I've added throughout, because like Baby Taylor is without a lens. And then maybe there was the lens of self-worth. And then there's the lens of, I don't know, weight or health issues. And then there's a lens of abusive relationships. And, all of these lenses. And not to say that it makes, I don't know, it makes my life more colorful and me more interesting, I guess. But, and it makes me who I am. And I wouldn't take that away. But I think at the core of who I am is Baby Taylor. And maybe it's, furthermore, it's how she has experienced those things, because she was a part of all of those things, even though she's stuck chronically at whatever age she is. I actually think she's 6 or 7 too, but she's still experienced those things with me. So whatever her take on those experiences are, I guess, is the version that I feel is the most true to me. But that just goes to show that, like, your committee, there's no rules here. Like, it's in your head. So it's fine. It's fine that you're talking to versions of yourself. It's fine. But one of the things that you did say, and I guess that I really liked, and I wanted you, and it kind of tailors into what you just said. You said that people get desperate when change happens really fast, or just, I guess, when change happens, period.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that it kind of just falls in nicely with when you were talking about spinning in a room and all of these things. And I mean, really, I think you touched on something like that very similarly for a lot of things. Um, I think you were a good friend and listened to the episodes that I was a guest star in on um, Modern Furniture podcast. And one of them, I talked about this 2x4 effect of, like waking up to the world and how it's, it literally, it feels like you're hit by a 2x4. Um, and it creates enough contrast to create cognitive dissonance. So where you begin questioning everything, and then you have all of these little times in between to clean up the mess, I guess. But I guess I would like you to speak a little bit on what does that look like? Because to me, the 2x4 effect right before it, I guess the desperation is everything that leads up to, like, bam, 2x4 effect, like cut your shits, like, and it's the universe saying, stop spitting, what are you doing, like,
Can you ask me that again in a slightly different way?
sure. What is your take on this idea of just of the 2x4 effect plus this as a being, I guess, a way to stop this desperation, this desperate spin that happens, or is there a better way to stop the desperate spin that happens when you
The
start
desperate
unwinding some
spin,
of this?
the desperate spin, is probably a combination of high energy and lack of focus.
Okay.
So the committee would kind of work to prevent that. It's interesting that the committee is a little scatterbrained in the way that it's organized, because it does represent variance, different variances, sigma, right? So we have all the variances available.
Yeah.
But it's also organized, and it keeps your energy moving in one direction. So even though there is quite the variance, it lets you focus on one thing at a time. Now, there are times, again, because due to the fact that the humans have rhythms and whatnot, I do sometimes wake up and things are just very poor. And it's like, I need to do something. I'm not sure 100% what it is. I will do crazy things to undo this. Not really crazy. I will attempt to, like, eat a bunch of pineapple, like try to get like some sugar up or something. I'll try some black tea, get a little caffeine. See, I'm trying to shake it like it's something that's on me, you know. That is what I kind of default to. It's like, how do I shake this off me? Sometimes I get lucky and it works really well. Other times you live with the cloud for the day, you know. I am very lucky. Most days I'm like an 8 to 10 out of 10 for like being happy and whatnot. I know a lot of other people live with much lower numbers. I feel sorry for them. For me to be at like a 5 is really, really low. And my 5 looks a lot like everyone else's 5. It's like, all right, what's a 5? It's like, well, I go to work, I do my job, and that's kind of the way it is. At 7, 8, 9, 10, I'm far more animated, having a good time, quick. So I understand. Sometimes even I don't, like, I have no clue what the answer is. It's like, all right, well, it's a bad rhythm. This is not my time to win. I have found, though, in terms of shaking things off, food does work. Food is a nice way to care for yourself. It's like, all right, you know what? I feel terrible, so I'm going to go and cook some food up that I really, really like, and then I'm going to sit down and enjoy it. And that actually usually works pretty well. You feel very like human again. While you're saying, it's like, wow, this is nice. I like what I'm doing right now. there have been, gosh, entire books written about like state management. So state management, for those that don't know, it's like this thing that actors and performers and salesmen are taught about. Pretty much when you need to be able to get yourself into a very specific state to do something optimally, to perform, an athlete, whatever, you can attempt to tie triggers that will send the message to your mind. One, gosh, what's his name now? John Denver. John Denver. Take me home, country road. That guy. He was in a bit of a funk, and Tony Robbins was talking to him, and he found out, oh well, John Denver likes going fast. A lot of his songs, the idea, the muse came to him while he was flying his plane or driving fast in one of his cars on the road. So Tony Robbins says, well, why don't you go and try to, like, that's the last time he felt like really like, yeah, try doing that. And he did, and it worked. So state management is another one that would be really valuable for that sort of thing. If you know, well, when was the last time that I felt really normal? I was hanging out with my brother. Okay, why don't you go visit your brother? Just see what happens. Just go over there and just see if things just magically fall into place.
Right.
Because sometimes they do, and that's convenient.
Yeah, I like that. I also think that for clarity, most of your decisions, especially in crisis, are based off of this the committee, and it's a very interesting way to think about things. And I brought it up with a number. I like to go to a lot of different psychologists and whatnot because I like to hear what they have to say, and I like to find out new ways to like heal myself. And I'm always just on the lookout. And I've brought this up to people, and they've each said that that's a very inventive and clever way to do something like that. And it's almost like what they do in hypnosis and stuff like that is have you talk to these versions of yourself and basically do that and introduce yourself. And there's a lot of stuff with inner child work where they have you like introduce yourself to your inner child and have a real conversation with him or her for the first time or whatever. And I think that your integration of them on a regular basis is probably fundamental to what makes you so happy in a lot of ways, is because you've become comfortable with yourself on all levels. And it's not separating parts of yourself. It's not like this is who Michael is today. It's bring it to everybody, to all versions of Michael, and see what they have to say and then decide. And so I think it's a really a cool way to view the world. I can't say it's the right way because then I can't tell you that you're right. You're not going to get that out of me. But but I do really like it, and I definitely use it for a lot of things. And I'd like you just to speak just for a second or whatever on how you think using some of that and using some of the tools that you've learned from some of those experiences that you've been through, how do you use it in healing today? What does healing in this kind of world look like?
I mean, we spoke mostly about things that go on in the mind. So I don't fully understand the correlation or the causation, but I do know that I'm one person and that a strong mind equals a stronger body equals a stronger spirit. So, I mean, I don't understand the inner workings of it, but I do know that I have benefited from it.
You just gonna leave that there like that?
It's the best I have.
I was
It's
like,
I.
I
It's one
thought
of
you
those
had another
things.
thought coming just based off
No,
of your face.
nope, nope, nope.
Well, I thought it was a
Not.
good thought to end off of, or to close that up. I think that if you could end, one of the reasons why I wanted to start with you, um, is because I liked this idea of integrating parts of yourself into a whole and addressing the world that way and your problems that way. And I'm not sure, I'm not going to say it, that there's, cover your ears, don't listen, that there's a better way to go about this, to a large extent. Because I do think that so much healing has to do with how, and things we've talked about, like how you have talked to yourself, the things that you have that maybe what got misinterpreted along the way, the lies that you let yourself believe, the behaviors that you let people do to you or that you did to people. All of those things come from a disintegration of yourself, just parts of yourself not being together, integrated. And I think that you have done a beautiful job in doing that. It's very weird, it's very unique, and it's hard to and it's weird because it's not normal, I guess, for most people. Normal doesn't mean right, obviously, or healthy, but you just don't see it a lot in a lot of people. And so I
People
really appreciate that.
build. People build the solutions that they need.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? People that aren't hungry probably don't learn how to grow their own food because they have the food. So there's no need to learn. Well, why would I? This is a waste of time.
Sure.
Humans are very efficient in that way. So if your mind has not discovered the need to create something like this, it just why would it bother? It's like, no, this functions. There was a need that I had, and for whatever reason, my mind decided this was the most efficient way of dealing with it. So I don't worry too much about normal or average because there other people are solving problems that I don't even know about, and their solutions would probably also look pretty odd to me. It's like, what is that? Because I wouldn't know what, like, if I saw it, like if it was a thing, I would have a difficult time reverse engineering. What is this for? Because I don't see the problem. It's like, oh well, no, there's a problem. This cog fits right in there, and it solves that. Oh, okay. So without the problem, the solution looks like craziness.
Mm.
So, yeah.
Well, and I think from an outside perspective, it took me a while to accept the committee because
Yeah.
it was just, it's kind of different, and it's kind of like,
Mhm.
all right, this is, what are we talking about here? Do you have split
Yeah.
personalities? What?
Yes. Say
but-
it again. Say that again.
You shall hear no more of that from me. But I think I really like it, and I think that it is a beautiful piece of advice, or all of that, like all of those amazing things that you said, starting with the comfortable with yourself. I think it to me, for you, just is culminated, I guess, in that idea of this, all of you. When I talk to you, I'm talking to all of you, and that's a really cool thing. I know that baby Michael hears me, and emo Michael hears me, and all these other things. I don't know if I can call him emo Michael, but whatever. But I think that that's significant because too many of us are just too disconnected from ourselves on really every level. I think that is a beautiful place to wrap up. Do you have any other thoughts that you want to say? I definitely want to give a shout out to you, but I didn't know if you want to have thoughts first.
No. Very efficient, right?
Yep. Meanwhile, I'm just
I
babbling.
will
right
say, in case anyone's wondering, I had surgery on my face, so That's why this portion of my face is so stiff. I don't look at myself very often, but I'm on camera now, and I have noticed I've got stitches inside my mouth. They had to, so it's a little stiff there. So I'll just
You can
put that
barely
out there.
tell.
If you've watched for this long, you get to know about the stitches on the inside of my mouth.
What
There
a
we go.
glory! What a wonderful, I guess,
That's
prize
a
for
great
the
send
end.
off. That's bonus.
So do you mind if I give you a shout out?
Oh, go for it.
Cool. So, Michael has a channel called Super Horror Show, and he gets to do all of these amazing voices. He has, I mean, if you haven't noticed yet, he's funny. But he
Funnier
does,
without surgery, though.
yes, he's a little muted today.
Yes.
But he does all of these amazing voices. There's a host that hosts the channel that is an animated host. It's an animated skeleton, and his name is Papa Bones, or AKA Val Kilmer. Killmore, I should say that right? And the show is just so much fun. They have funny skits, and then they have horror stories that they share, and it's just a lot of fun, and you should definitely check it out. You can, I guess, leave all of your social medias.
No, that's it.
Tag them.
Just search Super Horror Show on YouTube, and it's a lot funnier and a lot louder than I am right now.
Yes.
Because it was all done before I had surgery in my mouth.
And a lot of it's animated stories, which are really cool. I don't know if I clarified that, but just some
it's
really
story
cool
time
stuff.
For grown-ups.
Yeah, scary story time. But there's some also just he does a lunch break one, and it's just like
it's a mini podcast, 5 minutes a week, mini video
of
podcast.
really stupid things.
Stupid. These are public service announcements. I did good reasons to punch someone in the face. I did one on selling your soul to the devil. Did one on ASMR being stupid. Mountain Dew never came out. You were a beta tester for that.
Right. I forgot, but that one was hilarious. Yeah, ASMR was funny.
Yeah. What was the last one I did? Oh, if UFOs are real, right?
Oh, yeah.
There you go. So these are public service announcements. Oh, stupid criminals. That was a fun one. These idiots went to Dollar General and tried to spend $1 million bill. That's a true story. And people are getting dumber.
It's going well. Not enough healing.
That's it. So yeah, these are very important things. It's important for people to hear these things and listen to me and do the things that I say to do. That's important. So
actually, can you say one thing on because I love it for you, and I really want, I'm always trying to get you to say it on your YouTube, but I want you to talk about why you do your channel, and I want you to specifically talk about do you remember how you were talking about the dog with and their motto? No, your brain is on meds.
Well, no, just Tylenol right now, but I did have a concussion.
Well, you were talking about like what is the motto of all of this? And
talking about search and rescue. We do these things that they may live.
Yes. And how that ties into what you're doing. Because I think it's a beautiful testimony to everything we've kind of talked about, and then why your channel is like what it is.
Okay, so
this is your bonus because we didn't actually end this episode.
My channel is by probably every definition fluff. Like, let's be honest here. You're not going there. It's not done by Encyclopedia Britannica or anything like that. But fluff can be extremely valuable and important. There's a lot of times when you're in, to sound extra dramatic, a dark place, right? Mm-hmm. And there is nothing you can really do about it. I'm being very honest here. You know, if they're coming to take your house in the morning and it's 10 p.m., you ask the committee, there's no chance you're not fixing this, okay? the best thing you can do is just go to sleep for a while. You need to decompress so that way tomorrow, when the shit hits the fan, you can get up and start walking again. Okay? My channel functions beautifully in this capacity. If you come by, I will do the very best I can to distract you, to make you forget that there's a bunch of nonsense around you, so you feel like a person for even just a small amount of time. Because if I can do that, if I can say enough things to derail your mental train, and I do, I go nuts. Okay, I will say things intentionally to derail everybody's mental train. Okay, I will tell you to zig, and I will zag. Okay, and it will be a big joke, and that's fine. Okay, because the whole point is that I just need you to forget. I need you to forget your troubles so you can decompress, so you can continue carrying on for another day. Before I was injured, I would premiere an episode every Wednesday, and premiere means that I'm there live in the audience in chat. Okay, and the idea is that, well, if somebody is having a very poor week, right? They just have to make it to Wednesday, and we'll joke around, and then it's fine. Friday is a good day for most people. When I was in high school, I had a very difficult time, and I was constantly living for Friday, Monday, miserable, Tuesday, miserable, Wednesday, freaking just like piss off. If I could just make it to Friday. I had my best friend at the time, Mike Ballister. Okay, he would go, he'd crash at my house, we would play video games till 3 a.m, lit by the TV. You know, the room would be lit by the TV, and we'd be joking around. And the damage that was done to me Monday through Friday was undone Friday night and Saturday night. And I don't know, I mean, if you were born in the 80s, you probably have a similar experience where it's like, you know, life was very hard here, here, and here, but your friends came over, you'd rent a movie, you'd watch something, and it just happened all the time. And these things literally kept you alive much longer than you would have lasted otherwise. And so the channel that I've made, where I go and I tell people scary stories, and sometimes tell people about good reasons to punch people in the face and all this other craziness, was built to recreate this scenario where it's like, you know, we're going to go and we're just going to play around for a little bit. So that's what it's about.
I love it. I really do. And I really have been trying to get you to say it on your show.
But really, it's just a bunch of goofy fluff. I'm just going to...
It is. But like knowing that, like as your best friend, I think that it's so profound. But
that's why it works.
Yeah.
Like if you look at the comments, like people are being reached, and it's really, really bizarre because it's like, I go on once a week and I pretend to be this skeleton man that has no sense at all. And it hits home when it needs to hit home. You know what I mean? Somebody's having an extra poor week, a really hard time, something terrible has happened. They already know, if I can get to Wednesday, you know what I mean? Pop Bones will be there. He'll say some dumb stuff. Something ridiculous will happen. I'm going to forget about my problems for a small amount of time. And then hopefully they've got something going on Friday, right? Because Friday's usually a pretty good day. You know, it's like if I can go carry yourself to Wednesday and then decompress a little bit, carry yourself to Friday, everything's going to be okay. It's going to work itself out. The universe loves balance. You know what? I'm going to toss this out there. The universe loves balance. Okay. Now, this is both a positive and a negative, because sometimes people, they go and they try really hard and they feel stuck. And it's not that you're really stuck. It's the universe loves balance. It's trying to go and keep things the way they are. So it takes a lot of energy to force the universe to recalibrate. Okay. But when something bad happens, okay, so now everything's all tilted and you're like, oh my God, I'm telling you right now, the universe wants to correct this. The universe does not like the tilt. Okay. It will work in your favor, not because it's not even that it likes you. It just hates off balance. If I can distract you long enough, the universe around you will go and level out. And then it's like, wow, what? Because you couldn't do anything about it anyway. You did not have you were not equipped to deal with these universe-size problems. So I mean, think about that too. So you go and you try forever and so hard, and and whatever. And it's like, oh, it doesn't feel like it's working. It does take a lot to get the universe to go and reassess and pretty much reformat everything, putting you where you deserve to be. That does take time, and that can be annoying. But at the same time, when calamity strikes, the universe loves balance. It's going to go and attempt to put you back to where you were. Okay, your house goes on fire. What does it mean if my cabin caught fire right now? Right, the whole thing, it's burning. What does it mean? Okay, well, first off, I have a very nice network of friends around me. I know for a fact that nobody's going hungry. I'm probably going to go and end up, me and my wife, my son, at my mom's house for a couple of weeks. The insurance check will cash. I'm going to get another house. I'm going to end up in a very similar situation to where I am now. So as scary as it is immediately, the universe wants to correct it. So that's just a truth that I strongly believe in, and it is also a very big part of why I do what I do. I don't need to fix anybody's problem. I just need to distract you long enough and let you feel human long enough for the universe to correct things around you.
I love this. And I'm glad that we continue this because it gives me a chance to tie that back into chiropractic philosophy of with all of it. The body heals itself. There's principles in the universe about physics where it literally strives for homeostasis or balance,
Yes,
or whatever you want to
exactly.
call. And I think it's we all kind of have this underlying understanding of that. But really, what I do as a chiropractor and what Michael does as a comedian and YouTuber is remove interference enough for your body to heal itself or the universe to right itself, or for whatever that looks like, to create balance. And I think that that's significant because if you can find something, he took something that you wouldn't normally think of as doing that. I mean, chiropractic, you can kind of see it's in the healthcare field, that,
Yeah.
okay, we're removing interference, sure, fixing the body, sure. But doing something on a different level where you're taking like comedy, and he's take from his perspective, which you wouldn't know unless you ask him these kinds of things, um, of removing interference so you can get to this next place, so your mind, your body, all of it can take a break for a minute, laugh, release some endorphins, feel better, just to get over to the next hump, because that next hump is where the universe writes itself. And I love that. And that's where I'm telling you, eventually I'm going to sway you on this chiropractic philosophy thing. But for right now, I think it's a beautiful way to just tie into what all of this is about. This is about healing on so many levels in so many different ways. You don't even, we've talked about lots of different things here in lots of different unique ways. And another beautiful example of that is comedy, is finding something just to get through to the next second, because that next second is where things get better. Um, so if you have other things to add,
That's it.
that's really it. We're really
That's
it
the
now.
real. That's the real one.
Well, thank you so much for being on. I loved having you. I love your perspective on things. And I mean, it's why you're my best friend.
Right
But
on.
I definitely am just so honored if you've listened to it this far, because we've definitely babbled a lot, but or I have, and he's actually told you things. But um, I really appreciate it. I hope that you gleaned something from this. If it's not, wisdom or from one of us, but maybe it's just a new way to think about some things, a new little seed to take with you and see where it takes you. Both of us, of course, are more than willing to answer any questions you have. You can leave them in the comments or message us. Um, and I know that Michael has said this on his own YouTube channel that if you ever feel like you need to reach out, definitely, there's not anything or anyone we would turn down just to talk. So definitely feel free to do that. Again, I super appreciate you coming and joining us on this. And I think that's going to wrap it up.
Right on. Riot.
All right, guys, that wrapped it up. I was super excited to bring that to you. Michael is just amazing, and I truly love him. I definitely could not do life without him. And I hope that you were able to glean a little bit of something from that. I hope that it just inspired you, or it made you laugh at the very least, or planted a seed, whatever that looked like. So to reiterate, you can find him at Super Horror Show on, I believe he has a Twitter also, but definitely on YouTube. And it's just hilarious. And really talented on the parts that aren't funny, that are good storytelling. And then of course you can find us at Fearlessly Unbroken on all of the social medias, and then of course at Inner Sanctum Chiropractic, and those will all be linked in the description, of course. If you have stories to tell, we cannot wait to hear them from you. Please reach out. We want you to be involved. Next up is Dr. Christy Church. She is also a handful, an incredible testimony. I cannot wait to bring her because she is just a lot of incredible stories. So I look forward to that. I will see you next time. Thank you so much for listening. And I'm just so grateful that you're here. Thanks.